On a distant planet called Valora, under two suns and a purple sky, a small medical tent stood in the middle of a dusty alien village. Inside the tent, human Dr. Ethan Miles sat on a metal stool, checking his old scanner. He had been here for 6 months, sent by Earth's peace mission to help their new alien allies. He was quiet, kind, and skilled. But today, nothing prepared him for what was about to happen. Suddenly, the tent's flap opened with force. 2 alien guards entered, tall and strong, their skin covered in gold patterns and hard armor. They dragged someone between them. It was a young alien woman. Her eyes were wild like a trapped animal. Her skin was soft blue with glowing veins, and her silver hair flowed like liquid. She looked angry, proud, and scared. The taller guard spoke, his voice rough. "This is Zerai. She needs to be checked." The Queen ordered it. Dr. Ethan stood, up slowly. "Checked for what?" "She collapsed during training. She is bleeding. You must examine her." Zerai looked at Ethan, her eyes sharp like a blade. "Why must I open my legs for you, human?" she shouted. Ethan froze. Zerai pulled away from the guards and stepped forward. "I am not a toy. I am a warrior. I don't care what your orders are." The guards exchanged looks. One whispered, "Her condition is serious. Do something before she dies." Ethan kept calm. He looked at Zerai and said gently, "I'm a doctor, a gynecologist. I only want to help. I won't do anything without your permission." Zerai didn't understand the word gynecologist. Her eyes narrowed. "What is that? Some Earth word for man who touches women?" "No," he replied calmly. "A gynecologist is a doctor who helps females with problems inside their body, like bleeding, like pain, like what you have right now." She stared at him. Her chest rose and fell, quickly. The pain inside her was growing. "I don't trust you," she said. "You don't have to," Ethan replied. "But if you keep bleeding like this, you'll pass out again, or worse." Zerai swayed on her feet. She tried to stay strong, but then her knees buckled. Ethan ran forward and caught her gently before she hit the floor. She was light but burning with heat. Her body trembled. "We need to lie her down," he told the guards. They carried her to the exam table. She gritted her teeth. "Don't touch me there." "I won't," Ethan promised. "Not unless you say yes." She closed her eyes. Then, in a low voice, she said, "I feel something moving inside me, like a snake." Ethan looked at his scanner. He turned it on and placed it over her lower stomach. Strange symbols blinked. His eyebrows pulled together. He had seen thousands of scans in his life, but never one like this. Something inside her was moving, slowly, twisting. It looked like long threads, tentacles coiling in and out of each other. It wasn't normal. It wasn't part of her muscles or organs. It was alive. "What is it?" she whispered, her voice shaking. Ethan didn't know what to say yet. "We need to do more tests. But first, I have to stop the bleeding." Zerai stared at him, trying to read his face. "Is it a baby?" "No," he replied carefully. "I don't think so." "Then what?" "Maybe a parasite or an infection. I need to find out." Zerai turned her face to the side. "Just do what you must. But if you lie to me, I will kill you after." Ethan gave a small smile. "Deal." He began preparing tools, keeping his hands calm and slow. He respected her. He knew fear could make people fight even when they needed help. And Zerai was more than scared. She had been raised to think touch was weakness, especially touch from a human. As he cleaned her skin and began the basic treatment, Zerai whispered something strange. "The beast is growing again, like it did in my sister." Ethan stopped. He looked into her eyes. "Your sister had this, too?" She nodded. "She died." A cold feeling spread in Ethan's chest. Whatever was inside Zerai had killed before. The rain fell outside the tent, soft but steady. The alien village was quiet, almost too quiet. Inside, the air felt heavy, the scent of strange herbs mixed with the sharp smell of metal and old plastic. Dr. Ethan sat by the glowing scan screen. His hands were steady, but his eyes were full of concern. Sarai lay on the exam table, her silver hair spread over the pillow like spilled moonlight. She was no longer shouting, no longer resisting. Her body was weak, her breath uneven. Ethan stared at the scan again. The thing inside her was not a normal part of alien biology. It moved like a living creature. Tentacles, thin and long, curled around her organs. Some of them pulsed. Some twisted slowly, like searching for something. It wasn't just a parasite, it was intelligent. "What the hell are you?" Ethan whispered to himself. Suddenly, Sarai groaned. Her eyes opened, half-lidded but sharp. "It's moving again." Ethan stood up quickly. "Can you feel it now?" "Yes." It doesn't want to sleep." Her hand touched her stomach, fingers trembling. Ethan connected a translator tablet and spoke calmly. "Sarai, I have to ask, have you ever had contact with any foreign species? A prisoner? A scientist? A mate?" She looked away, her voice bitter. "I've never let anyone close to me, not even my own kind." "Then this thing was put inside you," he said carefully. Sarai turned back, eyes wide. "Put? How?" "Maybe while you were unconscious. Maybe through food, air, or something worse." The idea made her stomach twist. She sat up, slowly, her breath sharp. "My sister had dreams before she died. She said something inside her whispered, 'In her blood.' She thought she was going mad." Ethan typed on his tablet quickly. The scan's data came in wave after wave. Layers of biocode, cells mutating, growing unnaturally fast. "This is not a disease," he said slowly. "It's a program. Someone designed this. Someone is trying to create something inside you." Sarai stood now, her legs shaking. "Why me?" "Because you're strong, young, royal. Maybe they wanted a weapon born from your blood." "A weapon?" "Yes," Ethan nodded. "If it fuses with your body and survives, it could become something new, something dangerous, and maybe something they can control." Sarai stared at him, her anger building again, but it wasn't at him this time. It was at the ones who did this. "They used me like an egg," she said, almost spitting. "Without my will, without my knowing." Ethan moved closer but gentle. "You still have time, we can stop it, but it has to be now." She looked at him, trembling. "I thought humans were soft, weak, but you don't look away. Not even when it's ugly." Ethan gave a small smile. "I'm a doctor. I don't look away. Ever." Sarai closed her eyes. "Then do what you must." He helped her lie down again. This time she didn't fight. Her hand gripped his sleeve tightly. "Don't. Let me become something else," she said. "I won't," Ethan promised. He began the deep scan, preparing for what was next. Tiny surgical tools floated from the tray beside him, human tech powered by soft hums and blue lights. As he worked, the scan beeped. And then something strange happened. The tentacles inside her reacted. They pulled back, like they sensed danger. They curled tighter around one spot inside her. Ethan adjusted the scan, zoomed in. There, at the center of it all, was a small, sharp shape. It didn't move. It didn't grow. It looked like a shard of glass but metallic. A device. "There's something implanted inside you," Ethan said, his voice cold with realization. "Not just a parasite, but a tracker, or a controller." "A what?" Sarai said, her voice rising. "They know where you are. Right now, they can hear your heartbeat, maybe even control the growth from afar." She sat up suddenly, panic in her eyes. "They're listening?" "Maybe," Ethan said. "But don't worry, I'll block it." He turned to his gear, pulling out a shielding tool from Earth's medkit. It created a pulse, one that would block outside signals. He attached it to her side just above the infected area. The scan blinked once, then went dark. Signal lost. They can't see you anymore, he whispered. Sarai let out a shaky breath. Her hand reached for his again. Thank you, human. Call me Ethan. She gave a tiny nod. Thank you, Ethan. But outside the tent, in the shadows of the rocks, a pair of glowing red eyes watched, and a hidden transmitter blinked. They knew. They were coming. The night on Valora was silent, but the silence felt fake. Dr. Ethan couldn't sleep. He sat beside Sarai, who lay still on the recovery bed. Her skin glowed faint blue under the soft tent lights. Her breathing was slow but steady. The scan had stopped showing movement, but Ethan knew better. The creature inside her was not gone. It was only hiding. Sarai opened her eyes slowly. You didn't leave, she said, her voice hoarse. I don't leave patients, he replied gently. She looked at him, her eyes softer than before. Even when they call you names? Even when they threaten to kill you? Ethan gave a tired smile. Yes, even then. Sarai sat up, wrapping a thin blanket around her shoulders. Her voice turned serious. There's something I didn't tell you before. Ethan raised an eyebrow. What is it? My people have a law, she said. A very old one. No male, of any species, is allowed to touch an unbonded royal, female below the waist. Ethan's smile faded. But I already examined you. Yes, Sarai said, but I didn't give permission. I was too weak, too confused. Ethan stood up, troubled. Does that mean I broke your law? She looked down. No, you saved my life, but others may not see it that way. Who are others? Sarai's jaw clenched. The council, the elders, the warriors. To them, you are not a doctor. You're a male outsider who defiled a royal vessel. Vessel? Ethan asked, confused. My body, Sarai said coldly. To them, that's all it is. A vessel for future heirs, not mine to control. Ethan sat down again, slower this time. So you could be punished for letting me help you? She nodded. And you could be executed. He leaned back, rubbing his face. Great. Saving lives gets me killed now. I didn't say I would let them, she added quietly. They sat in silence for a while. Then she whispered, Do you know what it feels like to be touched for the first time and not feel fear? Ethan looked at her, surprised. When you put your hand on my side, just to place the shield. I didn't flinch. I didn't want to pull away. That never happened before. I didn't mean to cross a line, he said. You didn't, she replied. You showed me my body can be touched without pain, without control, without shame. She stood up, still shaky on her legs, but stronger than before. She pulled the blanket around her tightly. Ethan, she said softly, I want you to finish what you started. What do you mean? I want that thing out of me. It won't be easy, he warned. It's hiding now, deep. It knows we're looking for it. Then it's scared, she said with fire in her voice. Good. He turned to the equipment. I'll need to do something more invasive this time. You'll have to be completely still, and trust me more than ever. Sarai didn't hesitate. I already do. As he prepared the tools, he noticed her watching him closely. What? He asked. You're different from the stories, she said. What stories? That humans are selfish. That they only help when there's something in it for them. Do you think that now? Sarai thought for a moment. No, not anymore. As he set up the laser probe, a loud thud hit the outer wall of the tent. They both froze. Another thud, then a hiss, low and sharp, like steam escaping from a broken pipe. Ethan whispered, They've found us. Sarai rushed to the tent flap and peeked outside. Her voice dropped. They sent the bone hunters. What are those? Silent killers. They take what the council doesn't want exposed. Like me. Can we run? No, she said. drawing a small dagger from her boot. They can smell fear, we have to hide. And finish the extraction now. Ethan grabbed the portable scan core and backup tools. He set the emergency tent barrier, a glowing blue dome that would hide heat signatures, for a short while. Lie down, he said, voice firm. I'll work fast. Zarai didn't argue. As the scanner buzzed to life, he saw it again. The tentacles curled tight around the device. The heartbeat was faster now, as if the creature inside sensed danger. It's reacting to the stress, he said. I need to calm your body down or it'll start spreading. Zarai reached out, grabbing his hand. I trust you, she said. You are not like the others. You are kind, patient, dangerous in your own way. Ethan blinked. Dangerous? She smirked. Yes. You're the only human who ever touched me, and lived. He gave a dry laugh. Lucky me. But as he moved the tool closer to her side, the scan flashed a red warning. Something was changing inside the growth. It wasn't just a parasite anymore. It was starting to build itself. The emergency barrier flickered with blue light as the wind outside howled. Inside the tent, time felt slower. Even the machines were quiet, like they knew something terrible was coming. Dr. Ethan stared at the scan screen, frozen. The thing inside Zarai's body was no longer just moving. It was growing, fast, and now it had a heartbeat. It's alive, he whispered. Zarai sat up, trembling. What did you say? Ethan hesitated. I said, I can hear a rhythm, like a pulse. It's building itself, not just multiplying, forming parts. Zarai grabbed his arm tightly. Is it a child? He didn't answer immediately. Not because he didn't know, but because the truth scared him too. It's not fully biological, he said. It's part machine, part organic. It's a hybrid. Zarai's face went pale. Her lips trembled. A hybrid made from me? Ethan nodded slowly. And from something else. Not human. Not your species either. Her hands clenched into fists. They used me like a shell, a tool. She turned her head away, eyes wide with fear and disgust. This is what happened to my sister. She said it whispered to her, made her feel like she was two people. Ethan checked the scan. Tiny data waves ran across the screen, biological signals mixed with tech code. It was evolving inside, her womb, writing its own instructions, like a machine learning to become alive. Zarai, he said gently, I need to ask something hard. Ask, she whispered. Do you want it removed? She froze. For the first time, Zarai looked unsure. If you remove it, she said slowly, will it scream? Ethan blinked. Scream? Will it feel pain? Will it call out? Like a child dying? He stayed silent for a moment. We don't know enough, but I can make sure it's done cleanly, with no pain. To you or to it. Zarai closed her eyes. I don't want to become a mother. Ethan looked at her with kindness. You don't have to. My people, she said, they think women are vessels for power. That giving birth makes us valuable. But what if I don't want to create a weapon? What if I just want peace? Then that's your choice, he said. Not theirs. A tear rolled down her cheek. She wiped it fast, angry at herself. I don't cry. You're allowed, too, Ethan said. Zarai stood up suddenly, stepping away from the scan table. But if this thing is alive, what if it already sees me as its mother? Ethan shook his head. It's too early, it's not even conscious, it's just signals and growth. You're not killing anything, you're saving yourself. But if I let it stay, she paused. Will it become something else? Something better? Something good? Ethan hesitated. Maybe. But it's dangerous. Your body is changing fast, and if it fuses with your nervous system, I might not be able to separate you later. Zarai looked down at her stomach. She touched it softly. I feel ashamed, she whispered. And I feel guilty for feeling that. You shouldn't, Ethan said. You don't understand, Ethan. In my culture, women are not allowed to say no to creation. To reject life is a crime of the soul. Then let me carry that crime, Ethan said. I'm not part of your culture, and I believe life should never be forced. Sarai looked into his eyes. Something shifted between them. Not romance, but something deeper, a bond of pain and trust. Can you do it tonight? She asked. Yes, but it'll be risky. We're already being hunted, she said. What's one more risk? Just then, an explosion shook the ground. The lights inside the tent flickered. The blue dome shielding them flashed red. They've found us, Ethan whispered. Sarai ran to the flap and peeked outside. Fire burned in the distance. Shadows moved. Hunters. They had no more time. Ethan pulled out the mobile surgical kit. He activated the nanoblade, a tiny tool glowing silver blue. We have one shot at this. If I start, we cannot stop halfway. Then begin, Sarai said, lying down. I want this over. He took a breath, then placed his hand gently on her side. You are not weak for choosing this, he said. I know, she whispered. But still. Hold my hand. Ethan squeezed her hand tightly as he made the first incision. Sarai closed her eyes and whispered to herself, You are not my child, you are not my destiny, you are not me. The knife had cut through more than flesh. It had cut through fear, through shame, through silence. Dr. Ethan's hands were steady, his mind locked in full focus. The small surgical tools floated above Sarai's body, guided by scanners and light-based mapping. Deep inside her, something writhed, tentacles moving as if trying to escape the blade. But there was no escape. Ethan had found the device. It was pulsing now, angry, desperate, as if it knew. Sarai was still awake, her hand gripping his tightly. Sweat ran down her forehead, her silver hair sticking to her cheeks. Her breathing was sharp, controlled. You're doing good, Ethan whispered. It's almost over. A low growl echoed outside the tent. Not human, not alien guards, something else. They're here, Sarai said through clenched teeth. Bone hunters. The emergency shield around the tent flickered red again, its last warning before collapse. Ethan didn't stop. I need 60 more seconds, just hold still. Outside, a shadow passed by the tent wall, tall, thin, with long arms and glowing claws. Its eyes burned white in the dark. It sniffed the air like a predator finding blood. Inside, Ethan reached for the implant. It was hooked to Sarai's veins, threaded like roots of a cursed tree. One wrong move and her body could bleed out. Don't let them take me, she whispered. I'd rather die than let them use me again. Ethan didn't reply. He just worked faster. The shield finally gave out. A burst of cold air slammed into the tent. The shadow entered. Its skin was black and wet like ink. Its arms were too long. And it didn't walk. It glided. Bone hunter. It didn't speak. It just moved towards Sarai. Ethan stepped between them. She's under surgery, he said. You can't take her. The bone hunter tilted its head. Something like a hiss escaped its throat, but it was slow, almost curious. Its claw reached out, pointing at Sarai's stomach. The seed is not yours, it said in a low robotic voice. It belongs to the makers. Not anymore, Ethan said. I'm removing it. You are delaying the future. I'm saving a life. The bone hunter didn't wait. It lunged. Ethan didn't have a weapon, only a scalpel. But before the creature could reach him, a silver blur flew through the air. Sarai, even half-conscious, bleeding and weak, she launched herself at the bone hunter, her dagger in hand. She stabbed it through the neck. The creature screamed, its voice like metal tearing. I am not a vessel, she screamed. I am not yours. They crashed into the side of the tent, knocking over equipment. Sparks flew. The scan machine exploded in a shower of light. Ethan dove toward his surgical bag. He grabbed the backup core, the only thing still holding the removal sequence. He had one more tool, a magnetic pulse needle. He turned towards Zerai. She was still fighting. Another bone hunter had joined, now 2 against 1. Ethan ran forward. "Zerai, hold them back," he shouted. "Just a little longer." She grinned, teeth bloody. "I was born to fight." With every swing of her dagger, her body screamed in pain. But her spirit didn't break. Her people called her royal but never let her choose her path. Now, she was choosing. Ethan reached her side. One of the creatures charged him, but he used the pulse needle and jammed it into the bone hunter's head. The device lit up. The creature froze, twitching, then dropped like a puppet with its strings cut. The second one backed away, hissing. "You don't belong here," Ethan said. "You built something inside her. You tried to grow it in secret, but now it's gone." He turned to Zerai, reached under her side and pulled the implant out fully. It was black and red, covered in tentacle-like veins and tiny metal limbs. It twitched, and then it stopped. Dead. Zerai dropped to her knees. "Did we win?" she whispered. "We survived," Ethan replied, helping her up. "That's close enough." The last bone hunter looked at the implant in Ethan's hand. Then it hissed. This was only the first test, and vanished into black smoke. They left the village that night. The tent burned behind them. The council would look for them, but they didn't care anymore. Zerai was free, not just from the implant, but from the chains of her culture. And Ethan, he was no longer just a doctor. He was the one who had touched the untouchable and saved her soul. A cold wind swept across the stone platform of the Valoran High Chamber. Zerai stood barefoot under the silver moons, her back straight, her arms locked behind her. A long cloak of gray wrapped around her, marking her as tainted in the eyes of her people. Behind her, 2 warrior guards stood silent. Across from her, 12 council elders watched with cold, glowing eyes. Each sat on a throne made of bone and metal, carved from the remains of ancient wars. Their faces were hidden behind ceremonial masks, blank, cruel, and old. "Zerai," the head elder spoke, voice hollow through his mask. "You were found with a foreign male, after being marked unfit for duty. Is this true?" "Yes," Zerai replied. Her voice was steady. "You allowed him to touch you, to enter your sacred body. Do you admit this?" "Yes." Gasps echoed from the silent crowd that had gathered around the chamber walls. Dozens of alien eyes, warriors, workers, nobles, all watched. Most had never seen a royal woman speak with such boldness. Ethan stood at the edge of the chamber, surrounded by guards. He had been disarmed, his tools taken. But his eyes never left Zerai. He was ready to speak, if she needed him. But she hadn't asked for help. Not once. The head elder leaned forward. "You understand the punishment for such dishonor?" "Death by cleansing," Zerai answered calmly. "And yet you stand before us. Proud?" "Not proud," she said. "Just no longer afraid." The chamber fell silent. "Do you wish to justify your actions?" another elder asked. Zerai stepped forward. "I was infected, violated, used as a test subject, not by humans, but by someone within our own ranks. Someone placed a growing parasite inside me, a hybrid, something that was building itself inside my womb." The elders shifted uncomfortably. "A claim with no proof," the head elder said. "I have proof," Zerai snapped. "The human removed it. He saved my life." One of the elders stood. "He touched you. You let him defile royal blood. He treated me," Zerai said. "He showed me that healing is not shame, that consent matters more than tradition, and that our silence is killing us." A murmur passed through the crowd. Ethan felt his heart race. Zerai was not just defending herself, she was challenging an entire culture. "You speak like a rebel," an elder hissed. "Then maybe it's time rebellion started with a woman," Zerai said, her voice rising. "You hide behind rules, I almost died because of those rules. Enough. The head elder slammed a staff down. You accuse your own people of treachery without naming a traitor. Sarai hesitated. She looked at Ethan. His eyes told her, you don't have to. But she turned back to the elders. It was Elder Varesh, she said, her voice hard. He had access to my training meals. He led the medical review team that cleared my health reports. He is the only one who feared my rise in rank. A loud gasp swept the room. Elder Varesh stood, his mask tilting. Lies, he shouted. This female is corrupted. She's been poisoned by human thoughts. You poisoned me with something. Much worse, Sarai growled. Fear. You have no evidence. No? She turned to Ethan. Bring it. Ethan reached into his coat and pulled out a small black container. Inside, the remains of the hybrid parasite floated, silent, dead but still clearly part organic and part machine. This was inside her, Ethan said to the council. It's not human tech. It's built from Velaran metal but fused with something off-world. Whoever made it had access to your deepest labs. The crowd went wild. Voices rose, angry, scared. Elder Varesh backed away. This isn't proof, he screamed. Anyone could plant that. But only you had access to me, Sarai said coldly. You always said I was too bold, too wild, too human. A group of junior guards moved toward Varesh. He tried to run, but was tackled, stripped of his mask. Underneath, his face was pale, sweating. You have no idea what you've done, he hissed at Sarai. The Makers were watching you. They chose you. They didn't choose me, Sarai said. They used me. The council fell into chaos. Some elders called for silence, some for mercy, others, execution. In the middle of it all, Sarai stood, tall, calm. Finally, the head elder raised his staff again. You have broken laws, he said, but you have revealed a greater threat. He turned to the others. Her punishment is now a choice. We let her walk free, or we silence her and keep the people blind. Ethan held his breath. Then, slowly, one by one, elders began to lower their heads. The decision was made. The truth would not be buried. Sarai was free. Hours later, under the stars, Sarai stood beside Ethan near the edge of the cliff. You could have left, she said quietly. They could have killed you. So could you, he smiled. She looked out at the sky. You didn't just save me, she said. You reminded me who I really am. What now? I speak, she said. For the others who were never allowed to. I will not be silent again. And in that moment, with fire in her eyes and wind in her hair, Sarai wasn't just a survivor. She was a voice, a storm, a queen born without a crown, but with a truth too powerful to kill. Weeks passed. The twin moons of Valora moved through the sky like soft eyes always watching. The war drums had gone silent. The palace walls, once echoing with orders and oaths, now held whispers, not of fear, but of change. Sarai walked the long corridor of the ancient stronghold with no chains on her hands, no guard at her side, no shame on her shoulders. She had spoken the truth, and the people had listened. Not all believed her, but enough did. And for the first time in generations, a royal female had stood before the High Council and walked away alive. In the center court, warriors trained, workers sharpened tools, children ran barefoot in the sand, their eyes bright with new stories. They looked at Sarai differently now, not like a future mother, not like a sacred vessel, but like a survivor, a warrior, a leader. And she smiled back. Ethan sat in a shaded corner of the courtyard, fixing an old med scanner. It sparked every few seconds. He sighed. Still not working. Sarai's voice came from behind him. He didn't turn. Still not trusting alien sand. It's probably in every circuit. She sat beside him. Her cloak was gone. Now she wore soft armor, light, flexible, and made for someone who moves without asking permission. You're leaving soon, she said. Ethan nodded slowly. The peace mission is over. Earth wants me back. Do you want to go back? She asked. He paused. I don't know. Before I met you, I thought my job was just to heal bodies, but now... Sarai looked at him. Now you know sometimes healing means breaking the rules. And the silence, he added. They shared a small laugh, soft, honest. For a moment, they just watched the sky. But peace never stays for long, not on Valora. Late that night, Ethan woke to the sound of tapping. A soft knock on the med tent frame. He opened the flap. Sarai stood there, but she looked different. Pale, quiet. Can I come in? She asked. He nodded. Of course. She stepped inside. Her hands trembled slightly. What's wrong? Ethan asked. Sarai opened her mouth, then stopped. She took a deep breath. I feel it again, she whispered. Ethan froze. Feel what? Movement. Inside. He rushed to the scanner, no time for words now. He ran the test, quick, quiet, and then... His face changed. Not fear, not shock. Something else. Confusion. The scan showed nothing alive. No parasite, no hybrid, no growth. But there was something new. A glow. A tiny pulse. Almost invisible. Not a heartbeat. Not a machine. Just light. Pure, soft, light. Sitting deep inside Sarai's womb. What is it? She asked, her voice shaking. I don't know, Ethan said honestly. It's not organic. It's not mechanical. It's something new. Is it dangerous? No, he said. But it's aware. Aware? He nodded. It's not speaking, not thinking, but it knows it exists. Sarai sat on the edge of the bed. Her fingers touched her stomach. So it didn't all die, she whispered. It left a piece. Maybe it wasn't here to destroy you, Ethan said softly. Maybe it was here to become something else. Then what do I do? Sarai looked at him. Do I remove it? Again? Ethan looked at the scan. I don't think you can, and maybe you're not supposed to. They sat in silence. Finally, Sarai smiled, but it was sad. I'm not afraid of it anymore, not after everything, but if it becomes something, if it grows, we'll face it together, Ethan said. Whatever it is. Sarai reached out and held his hand. Then don't leave yet, she whispered. Stay. Not as a doctor, not as a human. Just stay. Ethan squeezed her hand. Okay. Months passed. Sarai became more than just a warrior. She became a voice, strong, bold, unshakable. She trained others, taught them that consent was power, that silence was not holy, that choice was not a weakness. She started a program. Alien girls came for help, for knowledge, for healing. And in the center of it all was Ethan. They never spoke about what they were to each other, not lovers, not friends, something between. But every evening, they sat side by side and smiled. One night, as they looked at the stars, Sarai leaned against him and whispered, I still don't understand humans. Ethan grinned. Good. We don't understand ourselves either. And the glow inside her continued. Soft, quiet, patient, not a weapon, not a child, not a curse. Just the beginning of something new, and she was not afraid. Not anymore.